Hey guys, what is going on? You're checking out an all new The RCWR Show dropping for Monday night of August the 19th, 2019. How the hell y'all been, man? A couple of minutes removed from tonight's all new WWE RAW. We'll definitely talk about some key points from that in just a little bit. But welcome one, welcome all, covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Do appreciate you guys checking out this week's show. Hey man, I hope your weekend was fantastic. And most importantly, you are staying cool, man, because I'm telling you, at least over here in the DMV, we are seeing some scorching hot weather over here. I mean, it's really bad. We're not gonna be on point. What's up, Austin? We're not gonna be okay until probably, I wouldn't say maybe Friday is when we're finally gonna be out of the neck of the woods, so to speak. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty much creeping up with the humidity all of this week in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Is pretty much gonna be creeping up to 100, depending on how the humidity level is. It may ultimately feel like 100, maybe slightly above 100. We got to deal with it until at least going into the weekend. So we got a little bit of a monkey wrench with regards to tonight's show. The show that we're doing live usually when Raw goes off the air. I told you guys we were going to try to do our best to do about 90 minutes strong, and then basically give bonus audio content for on demand, on the downloads and all that. Kind of my way of saying thanks for checking out the show on demand and on the downloads, because now the way we're doing it, we're basically including about 30 to 40 minutes of bonus audio material. But I got made an offer that I could not refuse. And long story short, a friend of mine basically wants me to come on over to their job and do a little bit of a work training session just to try to see if I maybe would be a good candidate to work with their respected firm. And so it was an offer I couldn't refuse. So, I mean, it's basically more money than what I'm making right now at my current job. And the hours, I mean, it's a lot more. I have a little bit more flexibility with my schedule as well. Not that I need even more flexibility, because where I currently work, the schedule is fucking awesome as it is, and I can pretty much do what I need to do, especially if something happens at the last fucking minute. But what's really capturing my eye right now is the location. I would be saving dramatically if I were to get the job. I would be saving dramatically on transportation costs. I would also the money, the benefits. I mean, it's a really great offer. So I'm supposed to be going in there for a work training session, just for a couple of hours. It's an interview basically, but it's gonna kind of be a hands-on, okay, let's see what you can do type of deal. So I kind of want to do my best to wrap this up as quickly as possible. So that may be a little bit of a Debbie Downer for you guys. And I know usually when I say it's going to be a short show, it turns out it's not, but I really do want to stick to time schedule for tonight. So it's 11:15 right now. We're coming on just a couple of minutes late at the time that we're doing this live. And the goal is to basically do about an hour, maybe up to an hour, 10 minutes tops. And we're pretty much going to end it that way. And then for on demand, on the downloads, I'll include the bonus audio content of whatever we're not able to get into tonight. All right. So without any further ado, man, let's just go ahead and, let's go ahead and have some fun. And look, Raw went off the air not that long ago. For those of you that may be a little bit curious, I know the Steve Austin show had premiered last week. I have not seen the first episode yet. I was binging like a motherfucker on football all weekend long. I mean, I pretty much was waking up, watching the game. Yeah. Unfortunately, fell asleep a couple of times, woke up, watching the football game. Take a nap, wake up in the middle of the night, watching another football game. I pretty much had my TV set on the NFL Network pretty much all weekend, and then whenever there was new games on the other networks, I pretty much was checking those out. So I sadly did not get a chance to check out the first episode of the Steve Austin Show. I know he's got a new one on tonight. He's talking to one of the guys from Impractical Jokers, Sal. I can't remember his last name, but he's talking to Sal. I actually like Impractical Jokers. I check it out once in the blue moon, enough to get a good idea of what the show is about. I like it. I just never find the time to sit down and actually watch so many episodes to the point like I'm a religious watcher of it and I know all of the guys' names by heart. I only know one of the guys, sadly, and that's because he's been incorporated with a lot of things outside of the Impractical Joker show and everything. So I got the first two Steve Austin shows on the DVR right now. So I'm actually going to be having the rest of the day off after I get done with this work training interview Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to kicking back and just binging like a motherfucker. And who knows, maybe as part of the on-demand, on the downloads, audio bonus content, maybe we can follow up and I can maybe splice in what I had thought of the first two Steve Austin episodes so far. But I tell you what, the first episode that he had put out there, the numbers were relatively strong. I believe Steve Austin had about over 1 million views for that first episode. I've got to go back and actually look at the analytics again, but I remember looking at the numbers from last week and going, wow, this is actually pretty damn good. All right, he's off to a good start. Let's see if he can keep that number, or at least worst case scenario, assuming that USA maybe ordered about maybe 8 episodes. I would like to believe that the magical number for USA, which is, okay, you know what, this is a success, we can run with this, we definitely want to order more episodes. I would like to believe that maybe the magic number is, okay, can you stay at about 800,000 views weekly? If you can stay at about 800,000 and up, right, I would like to believe, warrant getting another season or another order of more episodes for his first season, however they're gonna do it, right? So fingers crossed. But just a little bit that I've seen so far, it looks like it's pretty good. I asked a couple of people what they had thought about the Steve Austin show, and they pretty much said it's good. It's just pretty much a straight up simple formula, talks a little bit to them. No Geraldo type of interview style with his interviewing. Just very, very loose is what I kept hearing, very laid back. And they do a bunch of crazy shit, riding trucks, whatever, blowing up shit, whatever. Okay, you can't really go wrong with that. And it's a 30-minute format as well. That's the other thing that I like about it. It's a 30-minute format, almost kind of similar to what Conan is now doing. Conan O'Brien. If you guys remember, there used to be a time where Conan O'Brien was doing hour-long shows left and right, but when he came back earlier this year after taking a hiatus in November, he took a hiatus from his show in November, and I believe he brought the show back. I want to say Conan brought the show back. I want to say maybe March of this year is when he brought it back. Kind of sounds about right. That's when he went to the half-hour format and everything. So, I like it. A little less, a little bit of a cliffhanger. Keep you coming back for more. Nothing wrong with that. Because I constantly hear from people that have done interviews over the years, the David Lettermans, the Conan O'Briens, the Jimmy Fallons, the Jay Leno's, all of them have talked about how difficult it is to every day write an hour comedy show. And it's not like you're doing it at a seasonal rate, it's not like you're doing it for 4, 5, 6 months and then you've got 3, 4 months off for vacation or whatever. No. You're pretty much doing this every single night. You're doing it every week. And unless it's a major holiday where you take maybe that whole week off, you pretty much are going at it. You're grinding. So it's a good format, I think, what Steve Austin is doing, right? So knock on wood. I really do sincerely hope that the show does a lot of good. I do. And that's coming from somebody that's a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. So tonight's Raw had started the beginning of the King of the Ring tournament. And I got my bracket right here. I actually had to take a screenshot of the bracket because, like I told you guys, I've been so busy with the football this weekend that I didn't even have time to kick back and actually make my bracket on who I thought was going to be going all the way in this King of the Ring tournament. So it's a little too late now for me to really pick the winners. I personally feel, I don't know, maybe you guys still want me to pick somebody, but in the tournament, let's look at things from the Raw side of things. Okay, so for the Raw side, the participants in the tournament: Cesaro, Samoa Joe, Ricochet, McIntyre, Cedric Alexander, Sami Zayn, Miz, Baron Corbin. Over on the SmackDown side, you've got Kevin Owens, Elias, Mustafa Ali, Buddy Murphy, Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin, Apollo Crews, Andrade. All right. So first up tonight on Raw, we had Cesaro take on Samoa Joe. That was an instant freaking classic. I thoroughly had enjoyed that match. It was pay-per-view caliber type of a match. That's how good that match really was. These two guys, man, I'm telling you, I could have watched them for an entire hour. That's how entertaining it was. As far as matches of the night or matches that really stood out to me during the 3-hour broadcast tonight, I would have to say this was it. Almost to the point I actually wish that this would have opened up Monday Night Raw and not the Roman Reigns stuff with Dolph Ziggler. I just felt that was serious buzzkill. From the moment that the music had came on and you've got Michael Cole, here comes the big dog. Yeah, it was like, oh, all right, so this is how we're going to open it up, right? It's like, okay, well, okay, unless maybe we're going to get into the news from Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, unless they're going to reveal who it was that truly had attacked Roman. Okay, I'm buying into this. I'm okay with this, right? But then when it turns out Roman was out there because he was having a one-on-one match against Dolph Ziggler, and then cue up the music of Dolph Ziggler, you're going, right? Buzzkill, big time. So I was damn near ready to change the channel, but I said, you know what? Hey, look, based off Roman had did last week on SmackDown against Buddy Murphy, which was a fantastic freaking matchup. Fantastic matchup. Made Buddy Murphy look like $1 million freaking dollars. I said, okay, you know what? Hey, maybe this will be a better match than I'm thinking. Let's see what happens. Mediocre at best is how I would describe this match, honestly, between Roman Reigns, Dolph Ziggler. But going back to what I just said a few seconds ago, yes, I wish Cesaro and Samoa Joe would have been the ones to open up Raw, open up the King of the Ring tournament and everything. Just would have transitioned so well with them introducing Jerry the King Lawler, because Lawler, for those of you that maybe didn't watch Raw tonight, no Corey Graves. Corey Graves, as Michael Cole and the gang announced, was on vacation this week. So in his place was Jerry the King Lawler. So I think the proper setup, the King, royalty, would have made a lot of sense to really set up his introduction back at the commentating booth, get your first King of the Ring match out of the way, and then, oh, hey, by the way, Jerry the King Lawler is going to be hosting a special edition of the King's Court. He's going to be interviewing Sasha Banks. You're like, okay, all right. So it would just flow a lot better, I personally feel. But yeah, Cesaro, Samoa Joe, great matchup. Samoa Joe had actually advanced in dominating fashion too. In dominating fashion, he won via submission on Cesaro. So he advances. If he can do it a couple of more times, 3 more times, he could possibly win it all. King Samoa Joe, King, I don't know, doesn't really have that much of a nice ring to it, does it? Anyway, we also had, I'm just looking at the rest of the card here, there was another match that we had on Raw tonight, another King of the Ring matchup. It was Cedric Alexander defeating Sami Zayn. That actually was another good match as well. And Cedric Alexander is really starting to grow on me, man. He really, really is. And it's nice hearing from some of the wrestlers in WWE go on record and basically talk about how hey, I'm being influenced by this person, or this person is pulling me to the side and is giving me pointers. As example, Paul Heyman. The reason why I'm going in that direction is because Alexander had recently gave an interview where he talked about how Paul Heyman has really been helping him. He's been giving him solid advice, giving him pointers, tips, better connecting with the crowd, working on his character a little bit more, persona and all that. Paul Heyman has been helping him. And he revealed in that interview, I wish I could cite who it was that he did the interview with, so you guys got to forgive me, I can't remember the name right now. But anyway, Alexander had pointed out how Heyman mentioned to him in one of the first early conversations that he had saw his match against Robert Roode. I want to say it might have been on an episode of Main Event. I can't really remember which show that it was, but Paul Heyman has pretty much been a fan of Cedric Alexander's ever since. And so just kind of understanding what exactly is going on with Paul Heyman behind the scenes in WWE and everything, as far as, hey, Paul Heyman, these are the people that he likes, these are the people that he's trying to help elevate a little bit more and everything. It's really nice to see that of the people supposedly that he is taking a liking to and is trying to get them a bit more of a spotlight, if you will. It's awesome to hear that possibly someone like a Cedric Alexander is one that Paul Heyman has been very, very high of. King Alexander, it's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? It really does have a nice ring to it. Next week on Raw, we're going to be seeing Ricochet take on Drew McIntyre in a King of the Ring matchup, and Miz will take on Baron Corbin. On this week's SmackDown, we are going to be seeing Kevin Owens take on Elias. And I'm trying to think what was the other match they announced for SmackDown this week. I would actually need to rely on you guys, because by the time they were talking about what's going to happen on SmackDown, I pretty much was setting the stream up and everything for you guys. So if they mentioned a second King of the Ring matchup for SmackDown tomorrow night, I don't know anything about it, but I do know the first one is going to be Kevin Owens taking on Elias. So, look, as far as who I think could possibly go all the way and could possibly win the whole thing, just looking at the Raw side of things, technically, I don't really count because I didn't put in my bracket in time. But thanks, Austin. Apparently, it's going to be Apollo and Andrade on SmackDown for the King of the Ring matchup. Thanks, Austin. Looking at the Raw side of things, like if it were me and I'm booking this for the Raw side, I would have Ricochet advance. So that would mean Ricochet would face Samoa Joe, right? If I'm looking at this right, let me make sure I'm looking at the bracket right here. So since Joe defeated Cesaro, Joe is waiting for the winner of Ricochet McIntyre. So it would be Ricochet taking on Samoa Joe. I'm okay with that matchup. That matchup sounds pretty damn good. I'm okay with that. So Alexander had advanced. So he is waiting for the winner of Miz and Baron Corbin. I can see Baron Corbin advancing. So let it be Baron Corbin, Alexander, right? Now, let's go to technically the quarterfinals here. Okay, so it would be Ricochet and Joe, right? I'm looking at the Raw side of things, so stay with me, folks. Joe, Ricochet, I would say Ricochet advances, right? So Ricochet would be awaiting the winner of the Baron Corbin Cedric Alexander matchup, right? Oh, that's a tough one. I would say if you really want to make things pretty fucking entertaining, I would say go with. I get a little bit tired of seeing the babyface heel projection Okay, well, we got this match up. Okay, it has to be a heel taking on a babyface. Why don't we switch things up once in a while? There's nothing wrong with switching it up. There's nothing wrong with having two baby faces face one another. There's nothing wrong with having two heels face one another. So in this instance, for the Raw side of things, for the semifinals, I would like to personally see, if I'm booking it, I would personally like to see Ricochet take on Cedric Alexander. I think those two would have a phenomenal fucking matchup. If you really want to get things popping and everything, yeah, that's how you basically do it. By the way, I love the fact that with regards to this King of the Ring, it's the one thing that they did highlight tonight on Raw. They said this King of the Ring, this is something that's going to be happening during the course of a couple of weeks. So they are really trying to milk this all the way until their next pay-per-view. So I'm fine with that. Now, how early of a pay-per-view is that? Like, is that going to basically wrap up at Night of Champions, or are they looking past Night of Champions? Who knows? But I like how they're doing it, that it's going to be going across a couple of weeks. I'm down with that, no problem whatsoever. But yeah, for the Raw side of things, I'm looking at Ricochet in the semifinals. I'm looking at Ricochet taking on Cedric Alexander. Of that, going into the finals, I can see Ricochet going in there. And I mean, look, not for nothing, but like, wouldn't it be kind of fitting if Ricochet wins it all? Especially like if you've been a long-time fan of Ricochet and you know how one of the original names that he had out there for the longest time on the independents was King Ricochet. So how surreal would that be for him to get dubbed the King Ricochet? Like, when you really just stop and think about it, sometimes it's a way of words, right? It's a way with words. So that would be kind of badass. Looking at the Raw, or actually the Raw side is now wrapped up. Let's go over to the SmackDown side. Looking at the SmackDown side of things, Kevin Owens taking on Elias. Well, see, here's the thing. How much of a factor is Shane McMahon going to play into this? Remember on last week's SmackDown, Shane McMahon had fined Kevin Owens and everything, right? He fined him $100,000, right? So you got to remember that. So Shane McMahon still has a hard on for freaking Kevin Owens. So, is there going to be interference is the point that I'm bringing up. How much interference is Shane McMahon going to put into this to ultimately help out his boy Elias, right? So I just thinking about it, this is kind of tricky right here. This is kind of tricky. Let me ask you guys, because I briefly saw R-Truth tonight. Did he get back the 24/7 title? Because if he did not get back, if R-Truth did not get back the 24/7 title tonight, then I think that might address some concerns that I might have about who could come out of this matchup. Let me come back to that matchup. That way I can buy you guys some time to reply in the chat and let me know if Elias is still the 24/7 champion. Apollo taking on Andrade. I gotta go with Andrade. That dude has been freaking money since he's come up the main roster. I've really been liking his pairing with Zelina Vega. And it's nice to be able to say, hey, I saw these guys when they were down in NXT, and I grew very fond of them quickly down in NXT. So he just continues to evolve as far as I'm concerned. He's getting better and better every single time I see this dude. I would love to see him advance to the next round. Chad Gable taking on Shelton Benjamin. Okay, so series of months, we've had a very silent Shelton Benjamin, right? So this is kind of like, in essence, your big re-debuting, if you will, of whatever they've been trying to do with Shelton Benjamin over the course of several weeks now, with him being asked the question and he's looking all stupid in the air and shit. So meanwhile, you look at Chad Gable, a newly repackaged Chad Gable, great freaking look. I mean, everything, it just, this dude just looks like money. He smells like money. Like, seriously. Delicate situation here. And I like the fact that with regards to this matchup, these two men have past history having been a tag team a while back. So I love what's going on here. Uh, hmm. Tricky. I like to see Chad Gable. I would personally like to see Chad Gable advance. I got in the chat that apparently, no, R-Truth did not get back the 24/7 title. Okay, so as a result of that, I'm gonna say Kevin Owens advances. I can see some type of fuckery at play, but at the same time, I'm seeing some type of case come about where R-Truth may interfere. And he may try to bring his own referee, and somehow the rules need to be explained to us at home about how, no, R-Truth can't get the 24/7 championship right now because the 24/7 rules have been suspended because Elias is currently in this King of the Ring tournament matchup here. I just see something like that where the commentators are trying to explain to us, but because R-Truth is out there, it causes such a ruckus. I can basically see the end result being Elias loses, right? So, if you're being smart with the booking, though, you would like to believe that with the friends that Shane McMahon has in the Revival, with the friends that he has in Elias, the friends that he has with Sami Zayn, with Drew McIntyre, you would like to believe there's going to be some type of interference, but I still got to throw in the R-Truth factor. I'm going to say Kevin Owens advances. Ali taking on Murphy. I got to go with Ali. Hands down. I got to go with him. No disrespect to Buddy Murphy, especially with the great feedback that he received from that match that he had last week against Roman Reigns and everything, but seems like before all that had went down, all the attention has been on Ali. So King Ali, it's got a nice little vibe to it as well. Yeah, going with Ali. Okay, so we've got Owen to advance, so he basically would face the winner of Ali Murphy. So, do we really want to do it like that? Do we really want to say Owens taking on Ali? Interesting. Do we really want to go in that direction? Owens taking on Ali. Sounds good on paper. Let's go there. Owens, Ali. Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin. I'm looking at Gable advancing. So Gable would face Andrade. I'm going to say Andrade advances from that. So now what? So that would mean Andrade is waiting for the winner of Owens and Ali, right? Okay, so Ali would face Andrade. That should be a killer fucking matchup from Andrade and Ali. I'm gonna say Ali advances to the finals. So that would mean for your King of the Ring finals matchup, that would mean it would come down to Ricochet taking on Ali. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hoping that's the course WWE takes. That would be a damn good fucking matchup, I personally feel. Let me know how your brackets are fucking looking, man, but that's how I'm painting it out. As far as anything else, as far as key points from Raw tonight, some other stuff maybe we can get into on the show. So, Jerry the King Lawler, he sadly was not able to get into his whole segment with Sasha Banks, and that was because the lights went out. He pretty much had got interrupted by the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And Jerry was so smooth. He said, "Oh, no. I already know what this music is. I already know what this is about. I know what time it is. No. I'm out of here." And so he actually rode out of the ring, and he was slowly making his way up the stage ramp. But as he was making his way, that's when all of the lights had went out completely. So it's pitch black, and you see a little bit of light come on. And at this point, he's pretty much on top of the stage ramp, and he's kind of looking at the crowd, kind of wondering where the hell is Bray Wyatt, because he knows he's nearby somewhere. And you've got Michael Cole yelling at Jerry to turn around. Poor Jerry turns around, and boom, Fiend Bray Wyatt right there does the mandible claw on Lawler. That was just fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. I'll tell you what was even more awesome, hilarious, and stupid at the same damn time. So you had this website. Oh my god, it's a dumbass website too, man. You can see it on my Twitter timeline. Like, I'm not gonna even mention their fucking name. Like, they're not even worth my time mentioning. You know, I'm not gonna give them that fucking press, because that's like how little respect I have for these guys. And I had to kind of be reminded how off and on over the years I've seen these guys report some shit, and it's been inaccurate like a motherfucker. But if you go on my Twitter page, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So this wrestling website in question, they had posted this fucking article like not that long after Bray Wyatt did what he did to Jerry Lawler, and it said WWE toning Bray Wyatt's Fiend down to make him family friendly. And I mean, you just see the number of likes, you see the number of retweets, you see the number of engagements, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, you know, like, if you're really taking just a step back, and before you even fall for the clickbait, you're going, well, wait a minute now. What evidence do we have exactly that WWE is toning down the Bray Wyatt Fiend gimmick? Like what have we seen so far? We haven't seen anything of the Fiend pretty much since his debut at SummerSlam. So like, we're still being given the Fiend in these slow drips, basically. So like, what based off what information, what intel is there? Like, we don't have enough to really. So already through process of elimination, you can easily just kick back and go, well, wait a minute now. Before I click on this link, something doesn't sound right. I detect bullshit. Like, what the hell? And leave it up to Bray Wyatt. This eventually got under Bray Wyatt's radar. And if you're following Bray Wyatt on social media, he's pretty damn interactive. He's very savvy with the way he interacts on the platform and everything. Really, really fucking awesome how he does it. And he fucking replied to these knuckleheads, and he said, stop spreading this propaganda and fire your informants. And he puts up a gif of, I think it's Jim Carrey's The Grinch, and it's going wrong-o, basically wagging the finger wrong-o. And then the next thing you know, rather than these guys take some type of self-accountability and say, oh, okay, well, you know, we're just going based off of our respected sources, but it doesn't get any better than, you know, you, because you're the direct source. Okay, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see then, right? Okay, you know, hey, but thanks for reaching out and trying to clarify. But again, we're just respectfully going off the intel that we were able to get from people within the WWE or whatever the fucking bullshit is, right? Whatever the bullshit line is, right? They don't do that. So instead, this is like a constant theme that we keep talking about on all the shows that we do, not just on the free shows, but also on the Patreon shows as well, which is the lack of self-accountability. It's like, especially when it's a scenario where you're caught in the wrong, right? And rather than take self-accountability, man up and, you know, yeah, fucked up or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, dummy, yeah. So rather than take self-accountability, this fucking wrestling website, they fucking replied to Bray Wyatt and they basically say, oh, well, we've got our own blah, blah, blah person. Yeah, we've got our own. Looking at the screenshot right now here. Hang on here, guys. I'm looking at the screenshot again. Let me load it up here. So I just had it set. Here you go. No worries. Blah, blah, blah came through with an update on that story. And it's like, motherfucker, like, what update do you have to give? It's like, seriously, like, what update do you have to give? So it's like, when you see stupid shit like that, and then this new article, right? The title of it, fans shouldn't fear too much about the future of Bray Wyatt's Fiend. So you're like, well, wait a minute, motherfucker. You just said, like, not even an hour ago, you just said WWE is toning down Bray Wyatt's Fiend gimmick to make it more family friendly. You get your ass checkmate by Bray Wyatt himself directly out in the open on social media. And rather than take self-fucking accountability and say, you know, look, it's okay if you want to have a backbone and you want to say, well, hey, all due respect, we're just going off of our intel that we heard from people connected to the WWE. But by you reaching out to us directly and pretty much going on record saying this is not the case, I guess only time will tell as far as which intel is more accurate. We really hope that your intel is more accurate because we like what we're seeing right now and we hope that things do not change, right? When honestly, all you have to do is kind of do like a process of elimination type of deal. Now, you look at what they had Bray Wyatt do to Jerry Lawler. I think what they had Bray Wyatt do to Jerry Lawler was within the first hour, right? Having him do that little spot that he had did, there was nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And I really think fans need to understand something here. Like, don't expect to see the Fiend gimmick every single week on Monday Night Raw. Like, as far as full-length matches goes and all of that other shit, don't expect to see that. Get the full entrance, everything that you saw at SummerSlam. Don't expect to be seeing that. I think that it's going to be, and my advice to WWE way back when this shit went down initially at SummerSlam, I remember coming on the show for the SummerSlam post-show edition, and I said WWE's got to treat this like a delicacy. And it needs to be extremely rare that they put the Fiend out there. They can rely so heavily on the Bray Wyatt, Mr. Rogers gimmick, and there's nothing wrong with that. The great stuff that you can do post-production and all that, keep it rocking, keep it rolling. But with regards to the Fiend, you got to be very particular in how you're going to put that out there. If you're going to have him attack Hall of Famers, legends, or whatever like that, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're going to have him out there in little small bursts, that's fine. You can do that. But as far as full-length matches goes and all that other shit, no. At this point, what you got is a really good eye-grabbing, money-making opportunity here. And if you want for people to see Bray Wyatt wrestle, well, have them come up out of their pockets and get a WWE Network subscription or check it out on pay-per-view or through their satellite provider, right? That's how you freaking hook them. Let him be a main attraction at these pay-per-views. And that's honestly the best way you should, and the smartest way that you should be booking it right now, right? So, I remember one thing I had said to Bray Wyatt directly, and I don't know if he read it. I'm not expecting a like or retweet or any type of shit like that, but I just remember saying to him, hey, what you got going on, dude, you're so hands on in this. I can feel it. Continue doing what you're doing. Do not let up. Continue fighting the good fight, being vocal. Whatever you're able to do creatively with what you're doing right now, it's working on all cylinders. Don't stop. Never settle. Keep pushing the envelope as best as you can. Don't let up. That was my whole message to him. So, to hear of these stupid little stories that's being spun out by some of these websites, it's quite fucking comical, right? Very, very fucking comical. Now, some of you guys that's maybe saying, oh, well, what's the odds that maybe we'll see Bray Wyatt on an episode of Raw and he's coming down with the severed head and all that? That might be a little bit too extreme for some of WWE sponsors like Skittles and whoever else they're hooked up with, right? That might be a little bit too extreme. I mean, like, really stop and think about it. Especially when in a couple of months from now, this fall rather, WWE is once again going to be teaming up with the Susan G. Komen Foundation, right? They be pushing that shit all month long. When is that? It's either in October or November. They push it all month long. So it's kind of one of those deals where like, yeah, do we really want to have The Fiend do his usual shtick, right? I mean, you could probably get away with him doing a mandible claw on somebody, right? But like, as far as the severed head lantern and all that other shit, do we really want to go in that direction during Susan G. Komen breast cancer awareness month? Do we really want to go in that direction? I don't really think so. I don't really think we want to go in that direction. So don't be too surprised if for whatever month breast cancer awareness is, I think it's in October and November. Don't be too surprised as far as The Fiend goes if predominantly you get Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt, right? So, look, everybody wants to try to speculate and everybody wants to try to act as though they have the scoop, they've got intel, when they don't know a motherfucking thing. What is happening right now with some of these wrestling websites, they're just fucking guessing. That's it. They are guessing. And it's clear as day that that's what they're doing. When really what they should just be doing is do like mostly what wrestling fans do in general. They kick back, they enjoy the ride, they see where it goes, and they react that way. And that's really the best thing that you can do right now. Let's not try to speculate on what we think is happening with The Fiend and all that. Just enjoy it for all it's worth, because let's be honest, it is the most exciting, riveting thing that we have seen in WWE in quite some time. And I mean, if I really were to jump out there and really put it up there, if I were to really put it on like a rank list of, you know, like last time I was excited, right? Like legitimately fucking excited. The last time I was legitimately fucking excited about something that was going on in the WWE was when Brock Lesnar shocked the hell out of me, because I am a diehard Brock Lesnar fan. Followed his career in and outside of wrestling. Followed him when he went to go try to play for the Minnesota Vikings, when he went over to New Japan Pro Wrestling, tried his hand in the MMA world and everything. I remember just being totally stoked when he came back to the WWE the second go round and he just destroyed the hell out of John Cena. I was like, holy shit. Before that, I would have to go back to when Daniel Bryan had became WWE champion. That was one hell of a ride. Before that, I would have to say CM Punk's Summer of Punk, right? So it would be like almost in that fucking order, give or take. But just off the top of my head, those were the moments. So to see what Bray Wyatt is doing right now with his gimmick, you know, it ranks up there with all of those things that I had just mentioned within recent memory, right? So just kick back and enjoy it for what it's worth. That's my message to you guys. So yeah, Jerry Lawler wasn't able to do his King's Court segment with Sasha Banks. He's pretty much out of the equation, and he was not available for color commentating the rest of the night. They pretty much had Vic Joseph, who is a 205 Live color commentator, take his place for the rest of the night. I thought he did phenomenal with the opportunity that was given to him. You know, it was really weird because I'm not sure how many of you guys had felt the same way, but if you basically closed your eyes and you were just listening to the color commentating, it was hard at times to figure out, wait a minute, which one's Michael Cole? And wait a minute, which one's Vic Joseph? Like, help me out here. Because they sound very similar. But with Vic Joseph had more of a, it felt like he had more of a natural, authentic flow about him. He didn't feel robotic as we've become accustomed to with Michael Cole and everything. He flowed very well with them. And you know what was also a really nice breath of fresh air this week, at least, was we didn't have the constant bickering and back and forth going on between Corey Graves and Renee Young. You know, it's almost kind of like a big brother, little sister type of deal with them on commentating every single week. Well, here in this instance, we didn't have any of that, right? All three of them just flowed very well. You know, Vic picked his spots very well. He wasn't over talking, power talking over Cole or Renee. Timed his spots very well. When he was given the opportunity to take a little bit of lead, he was able to do so, especially in the main event. I felt that there were many times where Michael Cole was just kind of like, it was interesting because when you go back and you play it from the moment that Vic was with Cole in the gang, Cole wasn't that hands-on with Vic, as far as leading him in. It was like, just guiding him a little bit. But as the night wore on, it got to a point where Cole was just kind of letting Vic take the lead and just jump in that way. So it was very refreshing. Whenever Michael Cole does decide he wants to step away from color commentating in general and he wants to focus solely on backstage stuff, I'm telling you, I think with what you have in place right now, when you just look at everybody, it's really freaking awesome. It really, really is. Look, would it be great to have Mauro Ranallo? It would, but it ain't happening. But one thing that's going to be very, very interesting. Let's come back to that. Because if I segue into it right now, we're going to kind of be a little bit lost in the shuffle, and then we're going to have to try to figure out how to get back to talking about some other key points. As a matter of fact, let me see if there was any other key points I wanted to talk about from Raw tonight. So we talked about the King of the Ring, talked about the Bray Wyatt spot, Vic Joseph, see anything else we want to get into. Yeah, Ray. I can't believe we almost forgot about that. Rey Mysterio, kind of following up on what we had talked about last week, need to see a little bit more, but it kind of seems as though Ray is teasing a retirement. We saw him being interviewed by Charlie Caruso, and he did in fact tease retirement. He pretty much had said, it's time for me to let the younger generation come up and take their rightful place. And we saw him unzipping his mask. He was getting ready to take it off, but his son had stopped him and pretty much told him, Dad, I don't want you to leave the WWE just yet. I don't want you to retire. I want to at least have the opportunity to team up with my father, and have a tag match and, have some really cool stories to tell my children, your grandchildren. And Ray kind of had a change of heart. And so, you kind of hear that. You're like, okay, so now what's next? Right? Now what's next? My translation when I had looked at that, it was almost kind of like, please, Dad, don't go to AEW. Please, don't leave me alone, because I'm going to catch a lot of heat if you go to AEW. I know, in all seriousness, I'm even more curious what is going to happen with Ray and Dominic. Okay, so is it now going to be a situation where Dominic and Ray team up and they're going to be a tag team and maybe they're going to try to go for the tag team titles? Is that maybe something that is going to happen in the near future? I would still like to believe two different scenarios. I still love the idea I had talked about a while back where basically Samoa Joe, when he had that whole feud going on with Ray, and I like how they still have not picked up where those two had left off, and both men were on the same card for tonight's Raw, and somehow you don't think it to be, hey, this makes a lot of sense to kind of have things come full circle with these two. I mean, not for nothing, but like we've got Ray questioning himself and all of that other stuff. It really would have been interesting had you had Rey Mysterio go into the King of the Ring tournament with the sole purpose of being on a path of redemption and basically telling Charlie and the rest of the WWE universe, hey, this King of the Ring tournament, it is possibly
my last shot. It's possibly my last. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Unless Rey Mysterio had a qualifying King of the Ring match from last week's Raw, I'm relying on you guys now. Unless that was the case, then I'm kind of answering my own question on why he was not in the King of the Ring tournament. But, unless he did not have a qualifying match last week, when you're just looking at on paper and kind of going, well, who could we put in here? It would have made a lot of sense to have Rey Mysterio be put in there, and then for eventually things to come full circle and he crosses paths with Samoa Joe. And then at least that way you've properly put the bookend on Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio. Then you could have teased the whole Rey Mysterio is thinking about retiring, cue in Dominic, and then you pretty much go from there. You got me, guys. I don't know what the hell the end result is going to be. Is this going to be a tag team that is going to go all the way to, I don't know, maybe Survivor Series? Maybe they get the tag belts that way, and then Rey Mysterio retires? Or does Dominic turn on his dad? And, because I mean, personally, I'm setting this up. If I really want to give Dominic some serious fucking heat, I would fucking have him go the heel route. I don't think that's something that a lot of people are even thinking about. I don't even think that's something that a lot of people are considering, is Dominic going heel on his dad. And that would just make all the fucking sense in the world. You could always say for the longest time, Dominic has felt as though he was always in his father's shadows. He was waiting patiently to be the man. He was waiting patiently to be given the opportunity to carry on the tradition of, having the Rey Mysterio mask and everything. You can almost kind of, okay, well, Lee, if that be the case, then why did Dominic stop his dad from retiring? Because as far as he was concerned, his dad basically throwing a self-pity party was a fucking embarrassment, not just to the sport of lucha libre, but it was a goddamn embarrassment to the mask, and he wasn't trying to have that mask go out like that, right? So you could easily kind of set it up and in that type of form, but you could easily plant some seeds there of Dominic having some type of resentment. You could easily piggyback off of, hey, father was always on the road, some shit like that. I'm just giving you guys some nice little nuggets of bullet points, but I'm sure many of us, if we really just kind of kicked back, had a couple drinks, chilled for about 25 minutes, we could come up with a more bulletproof story arc that would make a lot of sense. But I think if you really want to have the WWE fan base turn its heads, having Dominic turn on his dad would make all the fucking sense in the world. Take the fucking mask that way. You know what I'm saying? It really should fucking go down like that. It would be something that people would not see coming. It is shock. It is awe. Now see, originally, I was under the impression that Samoa Joe was gonna beat Rey Mysterio so bad that Rey Mysterio would fucking retire and Dominic would take the mask that way and he would be the new Rey Mysterio. I thought maybe they were going to kind of go in that direction, but ever since they just completely let that shit collapse, it's pretty much just been, okay, so now what are you going to do? So, I don't know. We'll have to see how they go about playing that, but hopefully they'll at least entertain going in that direction, but we still got a little bit of a long ways to go. Another thing that really stood out to me tonight from Monday's Raw, Revival. Randy Orton, they beat the holy shit out of the New Day. I enjoyed that. That was, if you would have told me tonight I would have seen Randy Orton align himself with the Revival, I would have said, wait, that sounds refreshing. That sounds revigorating. That sounds like something I don't mind checking out every single week. Tell me more. They flowed very well together. And I mean, it just seemed like we have been watching them as a stable for some months now. They flowed that damn well together. It was just an unexpected, wow, what a stumbled alliance here. I loved it. I fucking loved it. I ate it up, and I love how the Revival had basically did fucking Kofi Kingston and he got Randy Orton looking on. He's holding fucking Kofi after he does the RKO to him and everything. Him and one of the Revival guys are holding Kofi, and they're basically doing him like fucking Joe Pesci and Casino, and Joe Pesci gets taken out with the bat, and the guys are holding him while another guy is beating the shit out of his brother with a metal bat into a bloody pulp and shit, and he's just screaming his ass off. That's literally how they fucking did Kofi when they were doing a serious number on Xavier Woods, right? Strength in numbers. And you just got Kofi screaming, and no, I love that. Just like Joe Pesci and fucking Casino. I ate that shit up, loved it tremendously. Good shit, man, good shit. I ate that shit up big time. Let's see, what else? Other than that, really was not anything else much to talk about with this week's Raw. So, it was a so-so episode. I mean, really for me, the highlights was the match with Samoa Joe and Cesaro. Love seeing the alliance of Randy Orton and the Revival. King of the Ring matches, yeah, because we also had the other King of the Ring matchup, which was Cedric Alexander taking on Sami Zayn. Short matchup, but for what it was worth, that actually was an entertaining matchup as well. Sasha Banks getting another jump on Natty. I enjoyed that as well. That was a nice little spot. We got Natty crying up a storm and having a little fit because Sasha Banks had ruined her parade and all of that. It's like, well, hey, not for nothing, but you had like the entire fucking crowd fucking chant to Sasha, thank you, Sasha, because they were tired of hearing your shtick in the middle of the ring. Why not also, that's where it's a little bit confusing, because it's like, don't have Natty, right? And this is where WWE is really fucking things up with how they're booking certain people, and Natty is a prime example. So you have Natty, you're supposed to feel sympathy for her. We're supposed to be rooting for her as the babyface because of the heinous acts that a heel Sasha Banks had did. You go to the interview that she conducted with Michael Cole tonight, and she's tripping over the color of her hair. Michael Cole's going, nobody's talking about your hair. Everybody wants to know why you did what you did to Natty. People want for you to explain yourself and your actions and what you did to Natty last week. And Sasha Banks just says, you're welcome. And it ends the fucking interview abruptly. Okay, so we have a heel Sasha Banks. She don't give a shit about nobody but herself. And she did what she did to Natty last week. And we've got Natty cutting this backstage promo talking about her daddy's anniversary and Sasha Banks attacking her and all of this other shit. And it's like, nah, man, fuck that. Like, let's really bring it fucking home. Have Natty address the crowd last week and, have her tap into it. Say, hey, it was really hurtful how the WWE Universe was reacting to Sasha Banks getting the one-up on me. I really didn't appreciate that. And, hey, look, not for nothing, but I've been going out here busting my ass for this company for the past. This would have been her opportunity to cut a really awesome, passionate promo to try to win the fans back in her favor, while also having the opportunity to put down Sasha Banks. And then once again, you've got Sasha Banks owning her ass, getting the jump on her and all that shit. So what should be somewhat of a, hey, we need to feel sympathy for this babyface, it just honestly kind of feels like a running Looney Tunes gag, right? So, the sooner we can separate these two girls, the better, because just the way things are looking right now, even once again, you could hear a little bit of heckling and all that from the crowd. They were happy that Sasha Banks, once again, is shutting the fuck up Natty, right? So the sooner you could get Sasha separated from Natty, the better, because when it's all said and done, this program that they're going to be working eventually, it's not really doing any good definitely not for Natty. It's not really doing anything for Natty. And I mean, if anything, it's almost a reversal for Sasha Banks, because now you have this toxic situation where people are going to be cheering for Sasha Banks to beat the shit out of Natty. What's the problem with Natty? The problem with Natty is, honestly, Natty has just, it would be nice if Natty just disappeared for like a whole year and a half. And maybe the fans can kind of come back that way, but it's just gotten to that point now. It's almost kind of like a Dolph Ziggler type of deal. It's like they've seen any and everything with Natty, and it's like, for me, I sometimes kind of take a step back and I go, where did things kind of go wrong with Natty? Where because I remember it wasn't always like this with Natty. Even during that brief period of time there where she was with her man TJ. And God, who was trying to think who he had teamed up with. I can't remember his face right now. It wasn't Cesaro. It was somebody else. It's on the tip of my tongue. I want to say, was it British Bulldog's son? Briefly there? I think I might be right. Just kind of going back to that period in time in Natty's career, and then when she was teaming up with Beth Phoenix and everything, honestly, if I were to kind of pinpoint where things started to kind of go a little bit down south, I still have to, I don't know how you guys feel, but I still have to go as far back as when Natty started doing the fart gimmick. When Natty started doing the fart gimmick, I remember me, my friends, I remember coworkers. We did not like that gimmick. We did not think it was funny at all. We thought it was degrading. We thought it was quite embarrassing. We thought that of all the gimmicks you could give somebody, this is what you do. Like you have a fucking Hart family member. All of that legacy, right? All of that history. And the best thing that you can come up with for booking is giving them a farting gimmick. And God bless her. She took that and she did the very best she could do with that fucking gimmick. And she just eat them and smile. She made it work. So God bless her. But I really wish that for Natty, it would be a case where she would just go away for, just an extended period of time. And I think it would do her wonders. I really, really do. I think it would do her a serious world of wonders. I think the fans would grow very fondly of her. They would miss her. I think if it was one of those type of deals, she would definitely be welcomed back with open arms. But, also at the same time, after that honeymoon period is over, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How the hell you been? It's no different than when you go see a relative that you haven't seen in a long period of time, right? First 2-3 days, it's good. But then you kind of remember, yeah, now I remember why I don't really talk to you that much. And you can't help but be looking at your watch and you're waiting for the opportunity to get back in your car and head on back home and don't talk to them again for a significant period of time, right? So, honestly, I think Natty is just really at that point in her career. I mean, she's seen it all. She's been through it all. I think at this point it would really be nice if they could have her make the transition full time into being down there at the Performance Center, helping out Sarah Del Rey, train those women down there and everything. I think, or maybe she could have a little bit more of a hand in helping out Fit Finley and how they're doing the women's matches and all that. It's time for her to go to that next level. I think she would be more of a great asset in that type of a backstage capacity role. But we'll just have to wait and see with regards to that. Man, if I were to be a writer for WWE EM, I mean, look, they have already got the amount of writers that they could have right now. I think they got 50 fucking writers or some shit like that. And it's like, I could come up with really logical ideas, but at the end of the day, it's like that paperwork sees so many hands of potential revisions. And then even at that, you've got the head boss in charge that at the very end, it's like, nah, we're going to rewrite it all over. I need something else. And it's kind of like, what the fuck? Yeah, I really wouldn't be interested. Not for them. Now, if you were to say to me Impact or ROH, or maybe MLW, or maybe Rocky Mountain Pro, yeah, I wouldn't mind maybe doing a little something with them, right? At least I have a better shot, like a 75% chance of whatever I write gets fucking approved. And if something does need to be revised, I can go back and write it until they're fucking pleased with it, right? I'd rather work for some other promotion. That's just too many goddamn cooks in the kitchen that WWE got, and that's the honest truth. Hey, can we get into some Patreon shout outs? I want to get into some Patreon shout outs. And Gino, man, yeah, you really should be coming on board. Gino and everybody else, you really should be coming on board for the Patreon content, man. I'm telling you, you're missing a lot. You're missing out on a lot of fun. $5 a month, you get access to bonus audio, video content. Vast majority you're not going to be able to find anywhere else. You get access to our exclusive 30 with Lee series, reviewing movies, either getting ready to come out in the theaters, already out, some independent films, some hidden gems, you name it. We go all over the place on that show. And then my personal favorite series, Wrestling with the Topics, hosted by me and Tams. Once in a blue moon, we'll dive into some wrestling related topics, but straight up, it is just a show that tackles non-wrestling topics. It's fun topics, and we really don't have an idea where we're going with that show, but it always ends up being a lot of fun. We just put out an episode yesterday, and that was really, really awesome. It was fun. I love doing that show. I really do. Of all the shows, that's the one I really look forward to the most, because I'm able to play off of the misses and everything. But yeah, $5 a month, you get to check out all of that great content. Sign up, patreon.com/RCWR Show. We definitely got some Patreons we got to get into. We got a new Patreon that I want to tell you about as well. We definitely are happy to have him on board, and hope that he enjoys the great content that we put up out there. And I want to give a shout out to my good friend Johnny K, John Krauser, and he is a up and coming comedian. He has been honing his craft for a good number of years now, and he is doing something really awesome happening on September 1st out in Chicago. So for those of you particularly that are going to be in the Chicago area, beginning Sunday, September 1st, he has a show that's going to be happening that night at 7:30 p.m. It is going to be at the Blackout Cabaret, second floor at 230 West North Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. And it is a show that he is starring in, that he wrote, directed himself. You'll be seeing him in the flesh. He is playing a time traveler slash magician and stand-up comedian. It's basically all in one. He's basically combining these three personalities on one stage. That's going to be happening for one night only, starring him. And the tickets, you can't beat the prices. Tickets basically start at $10. If you're a college student, you got a valid ID, you're paying $8. $5 if you are a SC Training Center student. Okay, parking is available. You've got food and beverage info, all of that. Again, it's going to be one night only that he's going to be doing this, and it's going to be on Sunday, September 1st at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Not Eastern. What is that? Central Standard Time, I think, for Chicago time. So it's going to be at the Blackout Cabaret, second floor, 230 West North Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. You can make a reservation, all of that good stuff. So if you want more info, all you got to do is head to secondcity.com. And I've actually included that information in the episode description of the episode you're checking out right now. And it's also going to be available on demand and on the downloads as well. So good shit, man. And, on a personal note, I want to extend some heartfelt condolences to John, because John had found out earlier tonight that a close friend of his had passed away. So he's a little bit bummed out at the news, And if any of you that have Twitter, if maybe you want to cheer him up, send a little bit of condolences his way and everything, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm sure he'll greatly appreciate it. He's on Twitter at I am John Krauser. You spell Krauser Krauser. One more time, I am John Krauser. Krauser spelled K as in kite, R, A as in apple, U as in umbrella, S as in Sam, E as in Edward, R as in the color red. I am John Krauser. I'm sure he'll greatly appreciate the follow, the thoughts, condolences, and everything. But that show, again, is going to be happening at the Second City, Sunday, September 1st. It's going to be at the Blackout Cabaret, second floor, 230 West North Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. If you need some Chicago box office information, you can call 312-337-3992. That is 312-337-3992. He is our newest Patreon member, so welcome to the family, my friend. Happy to have you on board. Also, this episode of the RCWR Show is also brought to you in part by my good friend over at YouTube, Tony Bing Gaming, for all the very latest in Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, or the upcoming MOBA game, Marvel Super Wars. Tony Bing Gaming, he is your man. He's got the hookup. Check him out on YouTube, Tony Bing Gaming. Shout out also to Patreon members Justin Rabach, Sean Kenter, Freddie R. Freddie, Michael Wolf, John Davis, my good friend Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup. We're right around the corner, my friend. It is almost time for that second season of WOW Women of Wrestling. Looking forward to covering the second season with you once again. And shout out to Joe Raymond Jr. Let's see how we're doing on Showtime here. I might be able to get into just a couple of more topics before I get ready to shut it down here. Let's see. So I'm seeing what has been recorded so far. I'm looking at about an hour, 14 minutes. And let me see how that is being reflected on YouTube right now. So YouTube right now, it's about an hour, 10 minutes. Okay, so for YouTube, I will go about 5 more minutes for you guys, maybe 10 minutes at most. But the stream is going to end pretty early. Like I said at the top, I got a work interview tomorrow. So I'm hoping this interview goes good. I would like to fucking do a slam dunk with this interview and make the transition to end up working for these guys, because I'm telling you, the offers that they're making, it make me an offer I can't refuse. I like money. Money talks, right? Bullshit walks, money talks, though. See what other topics I can get into here. There's a couple more I can get into. One thing I do want to talk about here is NXT going to USA. Okay, so take it with a grain of salt, but the way it's looking right now, and it should almost be like a no-brainer, right? But take it with a grain of salt. Latest report out there, and I think it's actually official. Now that I'm thinking about it, I believe it is official. Somebody let me know. But officially, NXT, as first reported by the Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer's site and everything, NXT is going to be airing on the USA Network this fall. So they are going to be debuting a 2-hour NXT show. And it looks like September 18th will be the debut. Now, we had reports floating around that maybe the announcement was going to be made during tonight's WWE RAW. Doesn't look like that has happened just yet. But the way it's looking right now, NXT will be airing 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on the USA Network Wednesdays, and we'll be going head-to-head with AEW on TNT. And an interesting piece of news, WWE stock had increased $2.57 per share today to $72.18 based on the expectation of the announcement tonight. but no announcement has been made tonight. I mean, unless we missed something, there was no NXT to USA announcement. So, I mean, look, this should kind of be a no-brainer because we had that one period last year where it was basically WWE week and NXT had aired on the network and it did pretty good numbers, right? So you kind of knew through process of elimination that, all right, WWE, they're going to try to figure out some type of a way to counter whatever is happening with AEW on Wednesday nights. You just figured they were going to try to combat it, right? The question was, all right, are they going to be able to do this with the WWE network, or are they going to be able to work out some type of a deal with Fox where maybe NXT will air on FS1, or is it even possible that maybe they could do something with USA, right? It's a bit of a cheaper show, right? So USA could probably do a little something with that, right? So I mean, look, if you're gonna do a 2-hour show of NXT, I don't really think that's an issue. I really don't. Where I have a little bit of trepidation is what's going on with Vince McMahon, right? That should be the real spotlight, because you've got these reports floating around that Vince McMahon is said to probably be hands-on with NXT if and when it does make its move to the USA Network. Now, I know when people hear the thought of Vince McMahon, NXT, oh shit, right? And look, I still think that it's going to be Triple H's baby. I do. But I just personally feel that as far as what we as fans can expect from NXT on USA, I think what we can expect is Vince McMahon basically being that compass for Triple H and making sure that, okay, look, we got to make sure that as far as our advertisers go and, all of this other stuff, we got to make sure that we're hitting it on all the cylinders. We got to make sure that all the advertisers are satisfied. We're not doing anything that's a little bit too risque, too taboo. Now, some people may feel, well, Lee, what we have going on right now with the current NXT product, there's really nothing to worry about. Like, why the fuck? I look at it like this. I don't look at it as a bad thing that Vince McMahon could possibly get involved with NXT. I look at it as a good thing. I do. Because remember, there was a period in time, and even Paul Levesque had commented on it a few times in interviews over the years when he would be asked, hey, does Vince check out NXT? And there was a period where Vince doesn't check out NXT. He only hears about certain guys. Once in a blue moon, he'll maybe see, someone on the roster, ask who they are, and, maybe say they got a great look or whatever like that, but he really isn't watching it. He's not paying attention to it. He's busy doing blah, 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 blah. But within the last, I would say, 3 years, Vince McMahon has been paying more and more attention to NXT. And so to now be at a point where potentially Vince McMahon is going to be involved with NXT if and when it makes the move to the USA Network, I don't look at it as a bad thing. If I were to make an analogy and I were to compare it to something, I would kind of treat it like a parent that sees you are very gifted in something, right? Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, you have a parent that sees you have a little bit of a knack for drawing, okay? And they see you doodling here and there, and, they're kind of saying to themselves, okay, so their doodling is keeping them occupied. Hey, they're happy. It's keeping them out of trouble. Okay, great. Now, you're continuing to do your little doodling drawings and all of that. You go to the store, you get some tracing paper or whatever. You start tracing stuff. Your parents, still, they got that same mentality. All right, good. They're staying out of trouble. They're just doodling or they're drawing or whatever. oh, that's pretty good what they're doing on the tracing paper. Oh, all right, that's pretty awesome, right? And then they kind of start noticing, wow, this person sure does like to draw a lot. Okay, a lot of this is tracing paper stuff, but that looks pretty good. Hey, look at the coloring books here. Ah, that looks pretty good. Okay, cool. Nice, nice, nice. But then the parent sees that, wait a minute, this is original artwork. This isn't done on tracing paper. What the hell? Hey, my kid actually got some skills right here. My kid is actually talented here. You know what? I think if I could kind of get behind this and hone this a little bit more, help them fine tune this a little bit more, I think they could be very successful in this. I want for them to be successful in this. And now all of a sudden, the parent is invested because they see you're fully invested. They see that if you continue to write this path out, it can take you on to bigger, greater, better things. So now they are behind you. You have their full backing. You have their full support, right? Undying support at that, right? So I kind of look at how Vince McMahon has been doing Triple H all these years with NXT, how he has just pretty much been like a silent partner, so to speak. It's his money that's pretty much getting the NXT and all that, helping Triple H fulfill his dream or whatever. But as time has progressed, Vince has, nice, okay, that's interesting, and now it's at that point where, okay, look, we've gotten to this point. I want nothing but success for this show, and I'm gonna make sure that with me right beside you, right along the way, I don't think this is a permanent thing, folks. That's the whole point that I'm getting at when you really bring it full circle. I don't really think it's going to be a permanent thing where Vince is going to be involved with NXT, through and through. I think if anything, I personally, if I were to make a bold prediction, I feel that Vince McMahon is going to help out Triple H with NXT right on up until the start of the XFL. Then I feel as though at that point, Vince will just be hands-on with Raw. He's definitely going to be hands-on with SmackDown. Of course, he's going to be paying attention to what's going on with the XFL and everything. I don't really see him also continuing to have his hand in the cookie jar known as NXT. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, and then when we get the NXT conference calls with Triple H, get the updates from him, see what's going on and everything. But yeah, I don't really think people need to be tripping over this. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. Is it possible from a production standpoint it's going to go to jerky fucking cameras and all that? It's very well possible, but at the same, and it could also mean that NXT is maybe going to be getting some better venues in the future. Who knows? Just have to wait and see. But combining the 2-hour time frame, right? Now you got to come up with even more writing because you're not doing an hour show anymore. And like we had touched upon last week, if you're going to incorporate a little bit of your main roster, maybe you're going to do like a special main attraction match, right? Maybe you could have Elias pop through there, or you're going to have Roman Reigns come through there, or something of that nature, right? If you're going to do a weekly main attraction type of a match where somebody on the main roster is facing one of the NXT stars or something along those lines, I don't really have a problem with that. It's still NXT, especially if you're just doing one marquee matchup, right? One special attraction matchup each and every single week. Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with doing that, right? It's when you really spam out on those special attraction matches all throughout NXT that at that point you go, is this really NXT, right? So, I think we just need to really kick back, have a wait and see approach, and after we get like the first handful of episodes, then have a discussion on, okay, so what's going on. I tell you what though, Young Bucks, they had reacted to the news. It was Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks. He basically said, we're not scared. And that's good. I mean, look, when it's all said and done, healthy competition, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with fucking healthy competition. Healthy competition is good. Sometimes it can bring out the best in everybody, right? All right, so on that note, I told you guys I was going to be paying attention to the time, so I went just about maybe 3 minutes longer than anticipated. But now I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to say that at least for the webcast edition of the show, that's now over. So I will be getting in from running my errands and all of that other stuff this Tuesday afternoon, at which I'll be sitting down and I'll actually be editing the audio from tonight's broadcast, and I will include an additional 30 minutes of bonus audio content. There's a lot more that is going to be included with this week's show. Some of the other stuff that's going to be talked about for on demand on the downloads exclusively. We're going to be talking about Daphne. I'm a huge fan of Daphne. She recently gave a health update. Not really too good, but knock on wood that it's going to get better for her. We've got some XFL news. We were talking about that earlier. Speaking of sports, we got some NFL news we need to talk about, because the shit that's going on in some of those organizations, it's head scratching. It's seriously head scratching, and loads more wrestling related stuff to get into as well. I've got the new Dean Malenko shoot interview by RF Video. I've got that in the mail. So on next week's show, we're going to be reviewing that. I'm looking forward to that. That should be loads fun for anybody that is maybe interested in checking that out. If you don't mind not having a physical copy, you can actually pay $10 and you can stream it right now on their website, and you can pretty much digitally own it that way, because I think you can download it to your desktop as well. But if you want, and it's $10, if you want an actual DVD copy, that's going to run you $12. Okay. But yeah, I've got my copy in the mail, and I'll be reviewing that on the show next week for you guys. And also, I'm trying to work out a couple of angles, but I think we might have a special guest that's going to be dropping by the show next week. Stay connected to me on social media, and I'll let you guys know the skitty as far as what potentially is going on. If anything, Patreon is going to know way before you guys on who it is I'm thinking about having come onto the show and everything. So if you haven't signed up for Patreon yet, even more the reason why you should sign up, because you get exclusive little news tidbits, great content and all that. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. But that's going to do it for, again, the web stream for now. Be sure to check out the full edition of the RCWR show that'll be dropping late Tuesday afternoon, early evening. It'll run about 2 hours long with loads of more great content. And in the meantime, you can get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. Join the Discord community channel as well. We've got the link for that included in the episode description. It's definitely in the synopsis for the webcast edition. So hop in there, say hello and everything. Shout out to Austin, shout out to EM, shout out to my man Gino, and everybody else that's going to be checking this out on demand. And that is going to do it. Until next go round, wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. See you next go round. Y'all do take care. A very good night and good morning.